Joseph is in that Egyptian prison for several years. He's had nothing but a hard way to go, thrown into circumstances beyond his control. And then we find those two beautiful words, but God. Those two words that can change everything. Those two words that can turn impossibilities into possibilities. Those two words that made all of the difference in Joseph's life, but God. But God was with him. The odds were against him, but God. His dreams could never come to pass, but God. God delivered him out of all of his troubles, gave him favor, gave him wisdom, and took him from the bottom and put him on the top. And you could lose hope, except for two words, but God. Two words that are woven into some stories in the Bible that you could overlook them if you're not careful, and yet those words change everything.
You could do a whole study on every time that it says, but God in the Bible, and you'd be blessed. Abraham was 75 years old and his wife's womb was as good as dead. But God wanted a baby named Isaac. And Abraham even got in the way and messed it up by having Ishmael with Hagar. But God had a plan for Isaac and Ishmael. But God.
That phrase gets used over and over and over in the Bible. Joseph said it to his brothers who, for crying out loud, sold him into slavery. Years later, when he understood what happened from a different perspective, he said to them, "You intended to harm me, but God intended it for good." The psalmist said, "My flesh, my heart may fail, but God is the strength of my heart and my portion forever." Jesus said, with human beings, it's impossible. Even salvation is impossible. But with God, all things are possible. But God. Are you saying, but I? Or but God? But I can't. Oh, but God won't. Or, but God can. The answer you choose will determine the life you lead. I would rather try and fail than to wonder what might have been if I hadn't tried at all.
My friend, you may be the least and the last, and no one expects you to ever accomplish anything great in your life. No one expects anything great or significant to come out of your life. You're always the last one chosen. Maybe you've had the least amount of opportunities in your life. And that might be your story, except for two words, but God. My friend, God can do it for you. If you, like Joseph, don't allow your circumstances to turn your life bitter, but if you'll keep your eyes on God, continue looking to Him, even if for a season it doesn't seem like He's working at all. I'm sure it may have seemed that way to Joseph. It might be hopeless except for these two words, but God. You take God out of the equation and things are hopeless, but you factor Him in and all things are possible. Friend, I just want to tell you, it's not over. I think there's a but God for you. I don't think it's a coincidence that you're listening to me right now. There's a God in heaven who knows your name. My friend, there are some but gods waiting for you. Your circumstance might look absolutely hopeless. You might think, man, my life is over. It's not. It's not. You need to factor those words in, but God.
This week, those are your two words. Don't you give up. Don't you stop dreaming. Don't you stop praying. Don't you give in to sin. Whatever hurts or whatever heartbreak you may be facing, when you feel inadequate, and you will, when you feel unspiritual, and you will, when you are lonely and confused or frightened, you'll be, and when you know you're not smart enough or strong enough or rich enough, when you feel like a loser nobody, remember, but God.